The Shroud of Turin is a burial cloth that bears what many believe to be the actual image of Jesus Christ following his crucifixion. For centuries, this enigmatic artifact has inspired awe, sparked intense debate, and raised countless questions about its authenticity. Is it truly the cloth that wrapped Jesus after his death? Or is it a remarkable hoax crafted by a medieval forger? While skeptics have long questioned its origins, believers have held steadfast in their faith. Recently, a stunning revelation has thrust the shroud back into the headlines, igniting powerful emotions among the faithful and catching even the Vatican off guard. This new discovery could fundamentally transform our understanding of this ancient relic. Subscribe now and join our journey to uncover the truth, helping us reach 2,000 subscribers quickly. In 1978, a team of scientists, including Barrie Schwortz, the official photographer, embarked on an in-depth investigation as part of the Shroud of Turin research project. Schwortz, raised in a secular Orthodox Jewish home, approached the project as a skeptic, tasked solely with documenting the process. The team spent over 2 years preparing for a meticulous examination, knowing they would have only one opportunity to study the cloth up close. For 120 continuous hours in October 1978, they worked tirelessly, analyzing every fiber of the linen to determine how the mysterious image was formed. Their findings were astonishing. The image was not painted, burned, or the work of a clever forger. Italian researchers later suggested it was created by a sudden burst of radiant energy, a phenomenon beyond human capability at the time. The Shroud of Turin displays the faint outline of a man who appears to have been scourged and crucified, visible on both sides of the cloth. Its scientific properties remain baffling. No modern laboratory has replicated the image's precision, even with advanced techniques like laser imaging or ultraviolet light. The technology required to produce such an image simply did not exist in the Middle Ages. Dr. John Jackson, a physicist who has studied the shroud since his teenage years, continues his research at the Shroud of Turin Center in Colorado Springs. His lifelong fascination drives his exploration of theories ranging from scientific to mystical, as the shroud's mystery defies complete explanation. The 1978 investigation remains the cornerstone of shroud research, with its data still informing studies today. The Vatican has confirmed that these findings are the official scientific foundation for future investigations, allowing new tests only to preserve the cloth. However, a 1988 carbon dating test, which suggested a 14th century origin, has been called into question. Recent discoveries indicate the tested sample may have come from a repaired section of the cloth, skewing the results. Despite ongoing debates, the depth of the 1978 research continues to anchor informed discussions about the shroud's origins. For people of faith, the shroud's significance transcends physical evidence. As Jesus said, "Blessed are those who have not seen and yet have believed." The shroud's existence does not define belief in Christ's sacrifice, yet it remains a powerful symbol. Since the late 1970s, scientists, scholars, and skeptics have proposed various theories about the image's formation. One notable idea, the photographic theory by Nicholas Allen, suggests a medieval inventor could have used a light-sensitive emulsion and a camera obscura to project a body's image onto the cloth. However, Allen's theory lacks historical evidence, as no records indicate such advanced knowledge of chemistry, physics, or optics in the Middle Ages. The absence of similar artworks or recognition for such a revolutionary process further undermines this hypothesis. The Shroud of Turin continues to captivate and challenge our understanding, weaving together faith, science, and mystery. With thousands of photographs taken during investigations in 1969, 1973, and 1978, and the advent of digital access, the shroud's images and related research are more accessible than ever. Whether seen as a sacred relic or a scientific enigma, the Shroud invites both believers and skeptics to explore its origins and significance. Recent discoveries have sparked renewed interest, potentially revealing a miracle for some or an unanticipated truth for others. Since the late 1970s, scientists, scholars, skeptics, and professional debunkers have contributed to an ongoing conversation about the Shroud. They have proposed numerous theories about how the image on the cloth was formed, with some claiming to uncover hidden details within its fibers. While certain theories are grounded in legitimate science, others lack the depth needed to fully address the cloth's complex characteristics, often relying on superficial interpretations. One prominent theory, proposed by Nicholas Allen, suggests that the Shroud's image was created using a medieval photographic process. Allen posits that someone could have coated a linen cloth with a light-sensitive emulsion and used a life-sized camera obscura, a dark room with a crystal lens, to project the image of a suspended body onto the fabric. According to his hypothesis, the front and back images were exposed separately, each requiring days of intense sunlight, with a third exposure for the face to avoid decomposition. Allen speculates this process might have occurred in a colder climate to preserve the body. However, his theory lacks historical evidence, as no records from medieval art, photography, or scientific writings document such a process. The absence of similar artworks or recognition for such a revolutionary achievement further weakens his argument. Allen has since expanded his theory, claiming the Shroud's image resulted from 3 distinct photographic exposures, with the face's image showing spherical aberration as evidence of advanced optics. Yet, recreating the Shroud's image with modern digital imaging technology would require high-end equipment and expertise in optics, chemistry, and photography, skills unlikely to have existed in the Middle Ages. The Shroud's frontal and dorsal images display remarkable anatomical detail, including scourge marks on the back, shoulders, buttocks, and legs. These marks are specific, anatomically accurate, and meticulously placed, contradicting Allen's claim that the dorsal image lacks definition. Forensic pathologists and anatomists dispute Allen's assertion that the Shroud's wounds reflect medieval religious traditions, arguing instead that the wounds, blood patterns, and body position align with real physical trauma. A critical scientific detail further challenges his theory. Peer-reviewed studies, including those by the Shroud of Turin research project, confirm that the bloodstains on the cloth were present before the image formed. This sequence, where no image appears beneath the blood, adds a profound layer of mystery and complexity that Allen's photographic hypothesis fails to address. Allen's reliance on the 1988 carbon dating results, which suggested a medieval origin for the Shroud, is another point of contention. While he rejects the idea that the image is a painting, he concludes it must be an early photograph due to its photographic characteristics. However, this conclusion faces widespread skepticism, particularly as more recent studies question the validity of the 1988 carbon dating, suggesting the tested sample may have come from a repaired section of the cloth. The Shroud's enduring mystery continues to fuel debate, blending scientific inquiry with the profound questions it raises about faith and history. The technical difficulty of creating such an image, combined with the lack of any historical evidence, makes the theory extremely hard to accept. When we zoom out and look at the broader picture, the story becomes even more compelling. A growing number of researchers now believe that the Shroud could actually be the burial cloth of Jesus of Nazareth. One fascinating theory suggests that the image on the cloth was created by a sudden, intense burst of ultraviolet radiation, an idea that aligns strikingly well with biblical descriptions of the resurrection. This isn't just wild speculation. It's a theory grounded in a growing base of scientific evidence that challenges all conventional explanations and makes a strong case for further testing. One critical step forward could be a new round of carbon dating, this time using strictly controlled, standardized sampling procedures. If the results differ significantly from the controversial 1988 test, which many experts now question, it could reignite serious discussion about the cloth's true age and origin. If it turns out the shroud dates back approximately 2,000 years, it would lend powerful support to the idea that this cloth might actually have wrapped the body of Christ and perhaps even captured the moment of resurrection. Things get even more intriguing when we consider what happened in 2008. Two separate scientific teams, including one led by Dr. John Jackson, proposed a theory that has since become one of the most discussed and analyzed in the field. They suggested that the image was formed by a burst of vacuum ultraviolet radiation, a highly energetic form of light that would only affect the very outer layer of the linen fibers. If such a burst occurred, it could have produced a highly detailed three-dimensional negative image of both the front and back of a human body. That level of precision has never been fully disha by modern science. Even more striking, there's no known natural source, geological or biological, that could generate such radiation inside a sealed tomb. This leaves open a profound possibility. The cause might have been supernatural. Of course, scientists tend to stop short of labeling anything as proof of the resurrection, as supernatural events, by their nature, are outside the boundaries of scientific testing. We can't replicate divine miracles in a laboratory, but what science can do is eliminate every known natural explanation. If all possibilities are ruled out, then what remains, however extraordinary, deserves our attention. This is what makes the shroud so unique, and why it continues to draw curiosity and reverence from around the world. Could it be a divine sign of Jesus' resurrection? As scientists dive deeper into the light phenomenon that formed the image, and as natural explanations continue to fall short, the case for something beyond this world only grows stronger. Dr. John Jackson's theory remains the most compelling to date. He believes that after the blood had dried on the cloth and the body began to decompose, something extraordinary happened. In a moment no one fully understands, a burst of vacuum ultraviolet radiation was released. This sudden energy caused subtle dehydration and discoloration of the cloth's fibers, creating the iconic image we see today. But Jackson's research doesn't stop there. He also suggests that at the time of this energy burst, the body itself became mechanically transparent, allowing light to pass through and imprint a uniform image from head to toe. According to Dr. John Jackson's theory, the energy responsible for forming the shroud's image didn't just radiate from the surface of the body, it emitted uniformly from every point within it. That could explain how the cloth captured not only external features, like the face and limbs, but also faint impressions of internal anatomical structures, such as the bones and the hands. It also sheds light on how both the front and back of the body were imprinted onto the linen in such perfect alignment. But here's where things get truly puzzling. Our current understanding of physics can't explain how a decomposing human body could emit that kind of intense radiation, or how it could become transparent to light in such a precise way. If Jackson's explanation continues to be the only scientifically plausible one, and if no natural laws we currently know of can account for this phenomenon, then we may be stepping beyond the limits of physics and into an entirely different realm, the transphysical. Science, by design, studies the natural, measurable world. It isn't equipped to confirm or deny the supernatural. But when every natural explanation falls flat, when the evidence keeps pointing to something extraordinary, it becomes reasonable to at least consider the possibility that something beyond this world might be at work. Could it be that the mysterious image on the shroud is not just a relic, but a silent witness to the resurrection itself? We may never reach a conclusive scientific answer, but the more other theories fall apart, the more space opens for one extraordinary possibility: that what we see on the shroud is not a work of human craftsmanship, but the result of divine light. Understanding the resurrection isn't about imagining someone returning to life in a regular physical body. The New Testament, particularly in the writings of St. Paul, describes it as something much greater, a complete transformation, a shift from the physical to the spiritual. A resurrection body, Paul writes, is one that is raised in glory, in power, and in spirit. If that's true, then maybe what we see on the shroud is a trace of that transformation, captured in the moment when heaven touched earth. What we see on the Shroud of Turin, a sudden, intense burst of light that affected only the surface of the cloth, could very well represent the moment of transformation itself, not just a return to physical life, but a divine shift from mortality to immortality. Now, to be clear, science hasn't proven this, but the idea resonates deeply with how the Bible describes Jesus after his resurrection, his glorified appearance, his ability to appear and disappear, and the radiant presence that left his followers in awe. Seen in this light, the shroud becomes more than just an ancient artifact. It becomes a possible physical trace of the most sacred moment in human history. The deeper we examine it, the harder it becomes to argue that the shroud is just some medieval forgery. Extensive testing has found no evidence of paint, pigment, or dyes used to form the image. Aside from minor surface contamination from centuries of religious veneration, there's no sign it was crafted by human hands. The anatomical precision is remarkable. The blood stains, made from real human blood, appear on the cloth in ways that perfectly match the wounds and flow patterns seen in the image. Most critically, the blood was there before the image formed, something almost impossible to fake, especially with medieval knowledge or tools. Researchers have discovered traces of pollen from plants native to the region around Jerusalem, and even impressions of coins over the eyes, coins dating back to 29 AD. These are details a forger in medieval Europe wouldn't have had access to, let alone thought to include. 5 key mysteries surrounding the shroud continue to stump modern science. How could anyone in the Middle Ages produce vacuum ultraviolet radiation that only affected the outermost fibers of the linen? How did a perfect photographic negative appear on cloth centuries before photography existed? How is there a front and back image? How could a forger replicate both outer features and internal bone structure in perfect detail? And if it's a hoax, why has no one ever duplicated it? These questions don't suggest deception. They point to something extraordinary. The Shroud of Turin aligns perfectly with the gospel account of Jesus' crucifixion. The crown of thorns, scourging, nail wounds, the spear to the side. The image tells a deeper story. A burst of intense light, possibly vacuum ultraviolet radiation, left a 3-dimensional imprint science still can't explain. Could this burst reflect a divine transformation? Resurrection itself? Unlike other traditions, Christianity speaks of a glorified physical resurrection, and the shroud may be the only physical object to reflect that in detail. When we consider the real human blood, absence of pigment, ancient pollen, and even coins dated to 29 AD, the evidence points to one time, one place, 1st century Palestine, and one man, Jesus of Nazareth. Maybe the shroud is more than just a relic. Maybe it's a witness to the resurrection. It now rests in Turin, Italy, protected and rarely displayed. In 2025, during the Jubilee year, it may be shown again. Those who can't visit can explore the Museum of the Holy Shroud in Turin, which offers full-scale replicas and deep dives into its mystery. The Shroud of Turin is a burial cloth imprinted with what many believe is the actual image of Jesus after his crucifixion. It's been debated for years, but the shroud is back in the headlines in a major way. A stunning revelation is sparking powerful emotions among the faithful and has even caught the Vatican off guard. This new discovery could completely transform what we thought we knew about the cloth believed to have wrapped Jesus Christ after his crucifixion. For centuries, the shroud has inspired awe, sparked debate, and raised countless questions. Is it truly Christ's burial cloth, or just a remarkable hoax? While skeptics have long doubted its authenticity, believers have held firm in their faith. Now, something unexpected has come to light. New and astonishing evidence is emerging, and it's shifting the conversation in ways no one anticipated. Whether you're searching for faith-affirming proof or a skeptic looking for answers, what you're about to discover might change everything. Back in 1978, a team of scientists embarked on an in-depth investigation of the Shroud of Turin. Among them was Barrie Schwortz, the official photographer tasked with documenting the entire process. Years later, in an interview with Glenn Beck, Schwortz reflected on the team's core mission. How was the mysterious image on the Shroud of Turin created? Was it painted, burned, or made by something we still don't fully understand? At the time, Barrie Schwortz wasn't a believer. Raised in a secular home as an Orthodox Jew, he approached the project as a scientist and skeptic, there just to take photos, nothing more. But what he witnessed during that research would slowly and deeply change his entire perspective. In the late 1970s, a group of American scientists came together for a bold mission to uncover the secrets of the shroud. This initiative, known as the Shroud of Turin Research Project, spent over 2 years preparing for a series of in-depth tests. Every detail was planned with precision. They would have just one chance to examine the cloth up close. By October 1978, they were ready. For 120 continuous hours, the team worked non-stop, meticulously studying every fiber of the linen. Their goal was to scientifically determine how the image might have formed. What they discovered was nothing short of astonishing. Their tests revealed that the image wasn't painted, wasn't burned, and certainly didn't appear to be the work of a clever medieval forger. According to Italian researchers at the National Institute of Technology and Sustainable Development, the image seems to have been created by a sudden burst of radiant energy, a flash of light unlike anything known to be made by human hands. On that ancient cloth, the faint outline of a man, showing a figure who appears to have been scourged and crucified, is visible on both sides of the cloth. What truly sets it apart are its baffling scientific properties. To this day, no modern laboratory has been able to reproduce it. Even the most advanced techniques, including laser imaging and ultraviolet light, have failed to match the precision seen on the shroud. Simply put, the technology required to create such an image did not exist in the Middle Ages. The original research team, led by physicist Dr. John Jackson, continues their work today at the Shroud of Turin Center in Colorado Springs. They remain committed to exploring a mystery that science alone may never fully explain. Dr. Jackson, who grew up in Denver, first discovered the shroud around age 13 or 14 after coming across a photograph of it, sparking a lifelong fascination. Barrie Schwortz, the official photographer during the 1978 investigation in Italy, played a key role in capturing the detailed images of the shroud that researchers still rely on today. Much of the scientific community continues to draw from the data collected during that groundbreaking expedition. Recognizing the importance of that work, the Vatican has confirmed that the findings from 1978 remain the official scientific foundation for all future studies on the shroud. Today, any new testing on the Shroud of Turin is only permitted if it's necessary to help preserve the cloth itself. Still, the legacy of past research, especially from 1978, remains central to ongoing conversations. In 1988, carbon dating tests suggested that the shroud originated in the 14th century. However, more recent discoveries have raised serious doubts about that conclusion. Many scientists now believe the sample used in the test may have come from a section of the cloth that was repaired in the Middle Ages, which could have skewed the results. Despite the ongoing debate, one thing remains clear. No serious study of the shroud can ignore the depth and richness of the data collected in 1978. That research continues to serve as the foundation for any informed discussion. For people of faith, the existence or absence of physical evidence doesn't determine belief.